shouldn't generalize.
It's all not lost.
Yeah, still, you need to still have some hope in us.
It's all not lost.
Well, it's good morning, Uganda. Definitely, we are looking at what is happening around. And here's one international story that also caught my eye. I don't know if you have come across the story of the submersible that definitely disappeared under the ocean. It had about 5 people who actually had gone to, venture and tour the Titanic wreckage under the ocean. But 3 days in, actually first day in, they disappear, and now the whole country, both Canada and actually whole countries, both Canada and USA are quite in a very disturbing tension mode because they're looking for these people. It has been all over social media and everybody's wondering, but why do people make some decisions like that? And when you look at a couple, when I took a read at the people who are in this in this submarine, a number of them were old, but there was one young boy. He was 19, or he's 19 years old. And I'm just wondering, this boy, I understand we have a spirit for adventure. You want to, discover things. You want to get back into the old times and see what happened, because the Titanic is quite a very interesting story. But 19 years old. So what happens if they don't find this submarine?
They will become part of the Titanic story.
I don't know, 19 years old, 19.
Trust me, it happens. I've lived with white people, but their spirit for adventure is very hard. That's what I can say.
You can never stop them.
Their appetite for adventure
yes.
is scary. Yeah, so...
Well, in all of this, meanwhile, they are also fighting against oxygen, because they had about, the last time I had, they had about 30 hours of oxygen left in that submarine. So anytime now, they could run out of oxygen, and now that would definitely be bad news. But I see everybody's actually praying that they can really find these people. But also sometimes I think we just need to be, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, to be very, very open and very ready for whatever comes your way, because it's said that they were ready, they knew death could be also on the plate. So they're like, okay, it's all right, it's okay.
Trust me, white guys will shock you. Trust me, those guys I think were made differently. They will shock you with how they take their decisions.
Well, it's good morning, Uganda.
It may be quite scary for all of us out here, but probably they knew what.
They knew what there would be repercussions or there would be end results. So there is that too.
But Philo, kindly allow me before we get into the story.
Yes.
It's a case of that happened in Jinja. I don't know if you heard about it. Students, 4 students, I think in Jinja College or something, who went ahead to, bullying in schools, and they got a stick and pierced it in the behind of their colleague, a young boy, allegedly who had reported their friends that they were homosexuals, and they were this, it's called what? Just from school, it's called this what?
Expelled.
Expelled from school.
Yes.
So in probably retaliation, these 4 guys got this young guy who reported the other ones, and they pricked like a whole piece of wood through his behind.
That is very unfortunate.
That is in a school. And the reason why I bring this up, because it's throwback. Have you ever been bullied?
I was bullied in primary. I was bullied in primary, around primary 4, primary 5. I remember the people who bullied me name by name. I actually remember what their faces looked like. Someone would probably say, I've never gotten over it. I did, but I still remember these kids. There were about 3 or 4 kids. So clearly you can see, even at my big age, I have never forgotten.
It's still stuck in your mind.
It's still stuck in my mind. I have been bullied before.
Let me tell you what used to happen to some of us. Like, we used to wake up very early, so these guys don't wake up, don't find you in bed, and used to go to the dorm very late, so you find them sleeping. Because if either of the two happened, one of the things I think we must start a discussion about as a country is anti-bullying.
And there is a time where we
Bullying.
had become really hard. We had gone hard against bullying. The conversation was all over. And in fact, I remember schools were on so much alert, especially when it came to bullying. And I feel like after that, we relaxed a bit, and we had very many other
Cases of
issues
bullying?
that were diverting us. But now it's actually bad. It seems to be back in all these schools.
There are kids who don't eat food. I know, because we used to be like, we used to see these things. This is for actually, you can't go to the DH because that guy is there. If you get your food, it's a girete one, and you can only get one meal.
Yes.
Now, all these things, they turn out to affect how people actually turn out to be. Bullying is one of the worst things. Trust me, one of the biggest causes of suicides abroad in teenagers is bullying. I don't know about here, but at least I'm sure, and I've seen it even out there. We need to fight this vice. Imagine,
It is
this
there,
kid,
yes.
we don't know how their life can never be the same.
No,
With that,
it can never.
The
There's
fear,
the trauma. The trauma is
physical
actually
pain.
there. Yes.
How do you insert a piece of wood? Where do you get, what kind of children do you people give to schools? Like, are these kids?
And I mean, it would be very unfortunate because you would hear a bunch of parents blaming the school. But I can tell you that the school can only do so much because these children start from your homes. This is the very first place where these children, boys and girls, come from.
When I got that story, as they are sitting, I was driving, I listened to the story in the news. I told myself, Katimba, do you know? Wangu be the same. Hello? This is Tata. Philomena, Nanke, we are sorry, your son, your daughter is in hospital. Even does she have malaria or what? It's much more than that. Okay, what's the problem? Because I'm from CHT from behind. Now, in such cases, do you expect someone to be sober, to understand, to calm down?
Like, what kind of reaction do you expect from the victim's parents? Because I took my child to school.
You get the point.
Yes. And then you're telling me this. And I think this child did not actually do anything wrong.
But he did the exact right thing.
Yes, exactly the right thing.
But also, you see, we need to think, and this is the thing. If someone made a report, who protects it's like, we call it witness protection. Like, why would you expose these kids? Maybe, but also the schools. It's not just about learning. The schools, you have a bigger duty. You don't have to teach them much, but you need to know how to protect some of these elements from other people. I don't know, it was so disturbing.
The bullying, though, the bullying, Felix, I hate to break it to you, but even in workplaces, do you know that there is bullying? It's just not only cut out for schools or primary. Basically, there are bullies at all stages of life, and it's very, very sad and very unfortunate that you would have to fight a bully right from your primary level. Throughout your life, you're fighting bullies left and right. On the streets. It's crazy. You just, if you're a bully, I think there is a problem, in fact, with the bullies now. It's not even just with the other people. So it's bad. It's not only schools, even as adults, we have seen very many bullies. Yeah, you just need to respect each other.
Need to respect each other.
There shouldn't be any reason as to why you're the person
those
that is
people
making
in, why would you want to make people feel like they have to run away from you all the time?
Very sad.
Like in Uganda, we call it kangaban. Why?
Well, this is something we are going to keep talking about until you take the message.
Think that's the way of life.
Absolutely. Well, we will look into our local stories and international stories, what is happening around here on the Ugandan scene.
Well, of course, starting with the first story where we see His Excellency the President of Uganda, who did come out to mourn the late, that is Jack Muchunguzi. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni did eulogize the late Colonel Jack Muchunguzi, one of the 27 NRM Bush war fighters who died Saturday night, 17th June 2023 at Nakasero Hospital in Kampala, as one who leaves behind a memorable mark onto Uganda's peace and stability. This is in the condolence messages delivered by the Minister of Works and Transport, General Katumba Wamala, during the send-off ceremony for the late Kano Muchunguzi in Mbarara this Wednesday. The president also condoled with the family, donating shillings 10 million. Now, Uganda Police and the UPDF are actively engaging the residents of Kasese sub-counties to identify security gaps in their pursuit to bolster peace and security. Now, these meetings aim to address concerns raised by the locals and foster collaboration between the communities and security forces. Now, this part of strengthening the surveillance and in the area, and after recent attacks on Pondwe, that is Ruhu Secondary School. Now, still looking at local stories, the State Minister for Primary Education, Dr. Muriku Joyce Kaduchu, has commended the Ministry of Education for the program of skilling student leaders. The Minister was officiating at the closing ceremony for the Leaders and a Mindset Change course organized by Ministry of Education for students leaders at the higher level of learning at the National Leadership Institute in Chankwanzi, where she urged them to be responsible leaders with purpose of belonging. And lastly, in the local stories, a team of medical professionals under their umbrella, the Joint Medical Professionals, has petitioned the Speaker of Parliament in regards to the plight of medical interns in Uganda. Led by Dr. Okworu Obuku, a renowned physician and researcher, the doctors want Parliament to fast-track efforts by executing to deploy and pay the allowances of medical interns. Now, the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Mong, has also asked government to fulfill the commitment towards the cause, but also asked the medical interns to consider becoming entrepreneurs to boost the private sector.
Moving on to the international stories, rescue crews looking for the submersible vessel that went missing in the northern Atlantic Ocean are moving assets and focusing their search on an area where undersea noises have been detected, a U.S. Coast Guard official has said. While Captain Jamie Frederick said on Wednesday that authorities still do not know what these noises may be, he stressed that there is still hope to rescue the 5 people on board the sub, which was exploring the wreckage of the Titanic before it lost control, with the ship monitoring it on Sunday. Ukraine's counteroffensive against Russian forces has been slower than desired, but Ukrainian forces will not be pressured into speeding up, the country's President Volodymyr Zelensky has said, while Russian President Vladimir Putin said Moscow had observed a lull in Kyiv's campaign. Ukrainian forces are being slowed in their advance by vast minefields laid by Russian forces, Zelensky told to the United Kingdom's BBC in an interview on Wednesday. Now, with some 200,000 square kilometers, more than 77,000 square miles of Ukrainian frontier territory littered with Russian landmines, the Ukrainian leaders say that at stake is people's lives. Back to Africa, one of the 30 suspects being held together with the Kenyan cult leader Paul Mackenzie over the deaths of more than 300 people who were told to starve themselves to death if they wanted to go to heaven has died in custody. The deceased had been in police custody for more than 60 days while the Kenyan Criminal Investigations investigators continued with the probe and exhumation of bodies around Shakahola Forest on the outskirts of Malindi in coastal Kenya, where police first discovered bodies in April. A prosecutor in the Mackenzie case, Jami Yamina, informed the Mombasa court on Wednesday that the deceased, identified as Joseph Juma Buyuka, was among the Mackenzie followers who had staged a 10-day hunger strike while in custody. And in climate news, dozens of global leaders will gather in Paris Thursday for a summit to tease out a new consensus on international economic reforms to help debt-burdened developing countries face a growing onslaught of challenges, particularly climate change. French President Emmanuel Macron has said the summit for a new global financial pact is aimed at finding the financial solutions to the interlinked global goals of tackling poverty, curbing planet heating emissions, and protecting nature. He's hosting the meeting with Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley, who has become a powerful advocate for reimagining the role of the World Bank and International Monetary Fund in an era of climate crisis. Well, good morning, Uganda still continues. We will go for a break and a throwback jam. When we return, we'll be having more to discuss on the newsreel, so do stay with us. Good morning, Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
My generation will still have a lot to do, but there's still some of us who are really doing the, I think, who are trying to do the right thing. You know, it's very easy for you to be swallowed up in whatever is happening by the biggest percentage. So maybe you wouldn't generalize.
It's all not lost.
Yeah, still, you need to still have some hope in us.
It's all not lost.
Well, it's Good Morning Uganda. Definitely, we are looking at what is happening around, and here's one international story that also caught my eye. I don't know if you have come across the story of the submersible that definitely disappeared under the ocean. It had about 5 people who actually had gone to, you know, venture and tour the Titanic wreckage under the ocean. But 3 days in, actually first day in, they disappear, and now the whole country, both Canada and actually whole countries, both Canada and USA are quite in a very disturbing tension mode because they're looking for these people. It has been all over social media and everybody's wondering, but why do people make some decisions like that? And when you look at a couple, when I took a read at the people who are in this in this submarine, a number of them were old, but there was one young boy. He was 19, or he's 19 years old. And I'm just wondering, this boy, I understand we have a spirit for adventure. You want to, discover things. You want to get back into the old times and see what happened, because the Titanic is quite a very interesting story. That's 19 years old. So what happens if they don't find this submarine?
They will become part of the Titanic story.
I don't know, 19 years old, it's 19.
Trust me, it happens. I've lived with white people, but their spirit for adventure is very hard. That's what I can say.
You can never stop them.
Their appetite for adventure
yes.
is scary. Yeah, so...
Well, in all of this, meanwhile, they are also fighting against oxygen, because they had about, the last time I had, they had about 30 hours of oxygen left in that submarine. So anytime now, they could run out of oxygen, and now that would definitely be bad news. But I see everybody's actually praying that they can really find these people. But also sometimes I think we just need to be, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, to be very open and very ready for whatever comes your way, because it's said that they were ready, they knew death could be also on the plate. So they're like, okay, it's all right, it's okay.
Trust me, white guys will shock you. Trust me, those guys I think were made differently. They will shock you with how they take their decisions.
Well, it's Good Morning Uganda.
It may be quite scary for all of us out here, but probably they knew what.
They knew what the would-be repercussions or the would-be end results. So there is that too.
But Philo, kindly allow me before we get into the story.
Yes.
It's a case of that happened in Jinja. I don't know if you heard about it. Students, 4 students, I think in Jinja College or something, who went ahead to, bullying in schools, and they got a stick and pierced it in the behind of their colleague, a young boy, allegedly who had reported their friends that they were homosexuals, and they were this, it's called what? Just from school, it's called this what?
Expelled.
Expelled from school.
Yes.
So in probably retaliation, these 4 guys got this young guy who reported the other ones, and they pricked like a whole piece of wood through his behind.
That is very
Now,
unfortunate.
That is in a school. And the reason why I bring this up, because it's throwback. Have you ever been bullied?
I was bullied in primary. I was bullied in primary, around primary 4, primary 5. I remember the people who bullied me name by name. I actually remember what their faces looked like. Someone would probably say I've never gotten over it. I did, but I still remember these kids. There were about 3 or 4 kids. So clearly you can see, even at my big age, I have never
Complete your transactions. Dial star 165 star 5 star 3 hash to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
Juko.
Yo.
Wachikuwa. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
This is a quick call. I'm almost out of minutes. Now, the center.
Why rush through such important conversations? Airtel Uganda has made it possible for you to call across all networks in Uganda at the best rates with the new Bona voice bundles. Stay connected anytime, anywhere, with minutes valid for calls on all networks. Dial star 100 star 1 hash. Select voice bundles and select Bona voice bundles today.
Airtel, a reason to imagine.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda. Welcome to the newsreel. Today is 22nd of June 2023, a Thursday. My name is Philomena Masko. Welcome to the newsreel with Felix Nkunda. Today we are here to talk about the plight of interns. In the last couple of months, we have seen very many interns take to the street to demonstrate and also petition a parliament to actually have them work on their issues. Their issues, of course, being deployment so that they can start their internship period. But we know that they've also come across very many roadblocks where we have seen even police coming to intervene and have some of them arrested. So it's not been a very smooth journey for them. Now, a team of medical professionals under their umbrella, the Joint Medical Professionals, has petitioned the Speaker of Parliament again in regards to this very specific topic of medical interns in Uganda. Now, led by Dr. Ekwaro, a renowned physician and researcher, they want Parliament to do a couple of things. Number one, they want them to fast-track efforts by the executive to deploy and pay the allowances of medical interns. And of course, in response to this, we noticed and we saw the Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Anita Among, who are coming out to ask government to fulfill its commitment, especially towards the cause, but also ask the medical interns to consider becoming entrepreneurs and also boost the private sector. And especially the last statement, I did see it catching a lot of attention from social media, talking about medical interns, or talking about doctors generally getting into the world of entrepreneurship and boosting the private sector. A couple of questions were being thrown around. Then what would be the essence of this happening? And also talking about, do we have enough doctors here in the country so that we have even extra to join the private sector? And if they join the private sector, what exactly is it that they are going to do? So all of these questions, of course, are raising very many eyebrows. Well, do let us know. Get into our social media, Twitter, hashtag UBCGMU, and of course, our WhatsApp number 0709 602 592. Felix, we have seen this issue being dragged and dragged and dragged. This is not the first time we are getting a story about interns. The last couple of months, we have seen them demonstrating on streets, carrying placards, asking for government to look into their issue and have them deployed, especially the pre-medical interns, asking them to be deployed in several places so that they can start on their internship period. But also issues of payment, because ideally they're supposed to be paid during their internship period. Payments have not exactly been, again, another smooth topic because a government came out to talk about how small the resource envelope is. And in fact, at one point, there was a suggestion that those that can afford to pay for their internship should be able to apply in all these private institutions and start on their internship. But in your own opinion and how you see this, how could this be interpreted? Do we feel that Uganda doesn't have actually enough money to sort their interns, especially when it comes to paying them? And anyway, different people in the medical field, interns are not the first. We've seen medical doctors go on strike and other different categories go on strike because of late payments, little payment, asking for salary increment. I mean, what does this say about our medical or health sector in that very specific context?
There's a lot that desires to be done. Generally for most of the services or service offering institutions in the country. And this has been the dire discussion that we have been having, even most recent, that how about we have a good discussion in relation to welfare, you know, citizens' welfare, than the true discussions we are consistently having in political administration.
Yes.
This falls directly into welfare. Now, medical interns have had their issues. This batch, the previous one, and the other, like for the last 5 years, there's been consistent challenge, either with their seniors, the doctors, or the interns themselves. But this all points you to one major aspect of discourse, that there's a problem with our healthcare system. There is something we are missing. There's a gap not yet covered.
Yes.
And government knows.
I mean, it shows.
The last time I heard they speak of the person who speaks for the Ministry of Health, coming out open to say that there's not much we can do. And even I think the minister came to add her voice, that let them go to hospitals, those who can facilitate themselves, pay for yourselves. But for now, they don't have much to do in relation to that. But this is not a disaster. It's not a surprise. It's something that can be planned for. In relation to that phenomena, we have been consistently asking government that some of these service bent professions or careers, how about we assist these people who are studying them? A doctor's performance is for the good, the latter of the whole community. It's not limited to them or to, it's for all of us. We can't fail to have hospitals, medicine, and also fail to have the people who are supposed to help us. Because a doctor, whether in private or government hospital, they're actually useful. The second discussion has been about why don't you engage the private sector? I don't know why sometimes government is scared to have some of these partnerships. I think when you realize you have a challenge, you must find a way around it.
You look into different sources of
you
solutions.
must have some sort of partnership.
You really can't
That
be
doesn't
there.
make you any weak. You don't become a weaker individual or institution. You rather become actually a solving, a solution-based leader, sort of like leadership. Because I've been saying that allow us to go to private. Who can afford? So I think this is a challenge that is administrative. But also it directly bends onto something called the absence of intention in terms of socio-economic welfare of the entire citizens, or the country for that matter. That there's a great line that has been put between welfare administration, and that is evident in almost all other sectors of this, for example, when you go to infrastructure. How responsive are government institutions in terms of fixing some of these? When you talk about roads, look at when you see the evidence of what I'm saying is what we see, the manifestation of things like potholes.
Yes.
You know, poor, shoddy work being done, enforcement, there's no enforcement. Like, all these are evidence of the greatest suffocation of human welfare, citizen welfare. So there are many things we can do, and even not speaking just about the medical interns, but the circumstantial challenges that face this sort of like, it must be like a sectoral approach to cure. You must look at it as an approach to cure some of these challenges greatly. The medical interns are over 1,900.
Yes.
The president came out, I think, this year in May and said, do not, you can't do away with them. We must find a solution. Previous to that, he made a commitment that their money was going to be increased. I remember he came talking about it, I think a year or 2 years ago. All those have not been put in practice. So, are we being intentional about our healthcare system? Are we being intentional?
Now, Felix, there is a whole argument that before we actually have all these professionals or students admitted into these universities, you're looking at lawyers, you're looking at interns, you're looking at doctors. We should put into consideration the level of absorption, or how we can actually absorb these people into the labor market. And looking, for example, at the doctors that we need, there could be a belief that we are producing more than we can take. But also, in a case of doctors, when you look at our doctor ratio right now, doctor to patient ratio, you're looking at 1 to 25,000. You're looking at one doctor dealing with about 25,000 patients. Now, when you look at that, and you also look at the people we are taking in, how can we actually be able to address that gap? Or shouldn't that be something that we want to focus on? Because the health sector is very primary to our country's population. We need doctors, we need we need specialists in all these different fields of medicine. And I don't think Uganda, as we speak right now, we are full to capacity. We are happy with the numbers that we have. You can't be having a ratio like this and you're actually happy about that. So shouldn't that be an informant of some of the decisions and priorities that we take as government?
You know, what you're saying is being shaped by many of our policy documents. You know, national plan, national objectives, you have the manifestos, you have all other standing. All these are in place, and that's what should actually inform. In fact, as we always say, our commitment to international conventions, like one we did, I think, the Addis Ababa Declaration, in terms of our remittance of about 15% of our annual budget to healthcare. But have we even ever gone half of it? All these are in place. Government policies, the laws, the what, practices, institutional cultures and what, they're in place. But because of what I said earlier, the great friction between political administration and socio-economic welfare national socio-economic welfare or welfare of our citizens.
In general, yes.
The interest can't be in enforcing welfare, because in third world countries, it is not what keeps politicians in power.
It's the politics that keep them, yes, in power, not
so
that's
why the investment goes harder in politics than it should go to. Now, in other civilizations, you find that you must elevate the civil welfare of the country for you to have political presence. But here the reverse is true. Here you just have to do a lot of politicking, have a big parliament, have a big cabinet.
It reminds me of, there's a gentleman who actually said some of the informants of these decisions are based on feelings and emotions from a couple of politicians who are ideally supposed to be responding to the major issue. Could that be part of the problem?
True. Yeah, because every action has a reaction.
Yes.
Could be in the same equal measures or worse. Yeah, you do something, expect something. It's a law of nature.
It has to happen, by all means.
It's a law of nature.
Even not reacting could be a reaction.
Of course, it's the worst. It's the worst, just so you know. So the medical interns did petition the parliament, and I spoke to Honorable Anita Among yesterday. She managed to summon the Prime Minister. I think she'll be in parliament today to give an explanation into that. But the way business is done in Uganda, you must also acknowledge that our leaders, with due respect, can't be a solution for things they may not be able to understand. One of the biggest dismays or challenges we face is, and third world countries, the engravement we have with politics in every aspect of life. You see that even where they have no idea, there must be a politician present to give an opinion, to give a defense, to give...
Somehow the issue is dragged into, or politics is dragged into the issue. It takes over, yes.
One pulls the other.
Yes.
But that's wrong. That's very wrong. Because we obstruct the real answers. When we try to give political answers, we obstruct the real answers. And that's what I see, in my opinion, with this whole intern thing. That using, of course, politics is at the helm of allocation as well, but this is not a political question. It should be answered professionally. You know? So, the worries we struggle with, Philomena, are much more around that. That even if, because we have been at it, they have been arrested, they have been beaten, they have been put under pickups. Now they had to get someone senior, I think the former president of the Association of Doctors, to come and speak and find ways to mend. But then now they are calling you can't be the killer and the healer.
You can't be the source
when you
of the
call the
problem
Prime
or the
Minister to
solution.
come and give an account on probably what's expected and what. Maybe it's good to calm down the storm, but it doesn't
it's not a long-term solution. But then there is also that bit where they say those that can actually afford to pay for and you know, facilitate for their internship. Is that a practical thing? Because now I was thinking...
Unless government is going in an MOU with civilians.
Because I am thinking, not everybody can actually facilitate this. Not all the medical interns can facilitate this. So what happens to the other bunch, which, by the way, I believe could be the bigger percentage that can't afford? What happens? Does it all end there? Do they actually start venturing into different things?
Just so you know, a government policy that is not equal, that is not common, cannot pass. I wonder even who suggested that. In fact, I find it foolhardy for someone to think of it that way. That those who have
should go ahead. Those who don't?
Government can't make a statement. I don't know who said that and who told them to say it. Then there's a question with who thinks for those people.
Well,
government implementation of any policy must be common. Commonality. So the ones who don't have money,
what happens to them?
it's indeed a joke, and it's worrying how some of these issues are handled by some of our seniors. It is indeed also sad that priority has been put in the most ununderstandable things. I can't give an example purposes of maintaining sanity, but there are many things that are being done with priority, you know, but the things that should have priority are actually not receiving it. Healthcare is a pillar of national building. The Honorable Matthias Mpuga has been on a tour, I think, around the country, try and look at some of the services that are offered by government.
Yes.
But when you look at some of the statements he makes time and again, you would worry. And that just supplements what we already know. Because there are many cases we have. Just a couple of days ago, we were doing the story of the blood bank.
Yes.
I think even yesterday they were in Parliament making the same exact noise.
Yes.
Now, you're looking for blood, but there's some person who's supposed to put the blood on the patient is not there.
Actually not there.
One thing leads to the other. When you have doctors there when they don't have blood, what are they doing? When you have the blood and you don't have there's a lot that desires to be done. We are not in sync as a country. We suffer from that, the distortion. There's so much noise around this country that everyone has something to say. Whether like there's so much noise. We are fearful to discuss the issues. We are quick to discuss rumors. You know, they are going to... No. So, we need to cease to have a mannerism of using people. Because this turns out to look like there's a cluster of people who are being used. You understand? Now, these are people's kids. Commit on your promise as government. You know, some of these things look small, but they turn out to cause much catastrophe. Much catastrophe.
Well, there is Dramaza Patrick in Maracha district in the West Nile region is saying that most of these doctors are for private institutions, and because of that, they always refer patients to private sectors where many people can't afford the price of the private sector, and they end up giving up on life. So definitely there is still more necessity and effort that needs to be pushed into the interns. But do we think, somebody asked about if we ever consider the contribution that is done by or made by these interns in hospitals?
Everything is known, Philomena. Actually, the ministry knows more than we do.
Yes. Probably some of these roles that we can't really get into.
More than we do.
Yes.
The biggest problem in this country is the lack of patriotism. Yet I've seen government telling people that they are teaching patriotism. I don't even know how that works, and I need someone to explain.
Maybe the patriotism is in different in other different sectors.
Because you know, how do you teach a child patriotism? How do you teach it? And I've seen them. Many people, they are going to study patriotism courses. I think the naming is a problem, not necessarily because we need to. Because patriotism is inborn. Have you heard the Uganda how they are proud about who they are? The Basoga, the Banyoro, the Batoro. That pride they carry. When you hear Musoga and talk about, no one teaches them to be that. Patriotism is something we must instill when we conclusively cater for the welfare of Ugandans, for them to feel that it is a proud gesture for me to be a Ugandan. When I ride my SUV on the road, that is not bumpy. That is the pride that causes patriotism. I've heard some people, when you hear people like Spare Yugi coming out to have this pothole exhibition, you think he's not a Ugandan? These medical interns, do you think they don't love Uganda? Many people in the public service lately have been working without payment for a long time.
Yes.
And many other institutions. They actually, the Wananchi are more of Ugandans than even probably the public service, these big officials. But we must also meet our commitment as institutions of government. We cannot conclusively always have explanations. We are an explanation. We have become I don't know how to put it in. It is
we
when
have
it
very
comes
many
to roads.
excuses.
The road. Let's put soil. Let's put soil in the roads. Let me give you an example. I don't know where you normally pass when you're going home, Philomena, but I can name for you 5 roads. Sapolokagwa, near Bukesa, where there is Multitech. Go to industrial area here. Go to that stretch. Kabalagala, is it Kabalagala? As you go to US Embassy? Just that connection. Go to Waise as you slope to the roundabout. Just to mention, we talk about medical interns, but all these things are significant. You see, when you start seeing things happening to your skin, you may want to check the organ.
The patterns are everywhere in all other categories.
No one is comfortable. Is what I'm trying to say. No one in Uganda is saying
we are okay. Everything has been sorted 100%.
Even now, you see members of parliament are not paying
their personal workers. Assistants and
so maybe they're just fearful to say who is sitting and that is a big threat, Philomena. If members of the country none can come out and say, but before you know, teachers are about to stand also. The nurses are about to come out. Who is? If you can't get peace when you're on the road driving a car, you don't have that peace because the roads are full of.
And probably you're driving
ditches.
to a hospital, and where you're going, you're not going to be attended to because definitely doctors are striking. Well, the pre-medical interns were supposed to be deployed at over 30 internship sites as of April 1st. But again, this was according to a circular by Dr. Henry Mwebesa, the Director General of Health Services, to directors of hospitals. And the one-year training was supposed to be starting then. But of course, it has been dragged because of several key challenges that they hope and expect to be ironed out in time. But also one thing to consider is that medical doctors also came out and they asked government to give them permission, especially the private health facilities, to go ahead and screen them and also allow those that, especially those that have the prerequisite staff and equipment, to actually recruit graduate doctors into internships. I don't know, couldn't this be one of the solutions we are looking at? Is there any challenge? Is there a reason why government couldn't be looking into this to allow, at least to give the permission to those private medical facilities that have what it takes? And we're talking about the skilled manpower, the equipment, to ensure that the interns go through their training session, the 1 year. Couldn't that be part of the solution? Or we also have question marks.
If you allow me to ask, why would you think it will be a solution? What makes you think that is a solution?
Well, if the private, because what we want the interns to have their training session the whole year. Now, if a medical facility, a private one, has the skilled labor, the doctors that would be giving these interns the training and the equipment, why wouldn't they do that?
How many hospitals have the equipment?
Well,
how many
we're talking about those that can actually, and that's why maybe they were talking about it for them to be screened.
No, it takes you back to what we said. A government policy or approach cannot be, it must have a commonality. So what about those who won't get? Because we don't have guarantee that all private hospitals are in need of interns.
But are we certain that even the 30-something sites will take in all the pre-medical interns?
What has been happening previously? How has it been done?
So we are going to lose everything?
I mean, what are you holding on anyway? What's there not to lose? We have lost. Because when you talk about, when you bring the private, whole idea is also segregative because you don't.
It has its points, yes.
You're not in control. But you're supposed to assess this. You're not in control. You can't limit the time of work. When you take people to private, they're going to be exploited. You're here, we're going to give you this money, but you're going to. First, you're here as a worker, not as, The problem solution is a central problem. We must deal with the get central challenge solutions. And I'm sorry, but as I've told you, I'm connecting it to the many other things, many other many other things. We are spending money in the wrong things, Philomena, as a family of you called Uganda. Look at the most recent budget, the allocations. You can imagine their budgets for individuals for donations. They say this budget is going to help Philomena sensitize investors. Kakati, who comes to invest in that again?
You know what you want as an investor.
These funny things that are hard to explain. But the hardcore things, when these young girls and boys are going to parliament, they are arrested, they are beaten, they are what? And no one makes a comment. No one. So, I think the issue of interns, we must call on the relevant authorities. I'm glad the Honorable Speaker of Parliament did give them forum to discuss, and he summoned the Prime Minister. We are praying she's able to give something resolute than political solution. We are tired. Every question doesn't have a political answer. The problem, and that's the problem of
have
having
a whole independent response
it's
to
not
that
even, because that's not a political question.
Yes.
One of the leaders, I think, at the Barrio of Katuruma said that everything is political. Yes, and that's the deception you carry. Everything could be political, but doesn't need a political answer. We are all political animals, but not every approach must be political.
But
because
responding to
let
some
me
of
tell you
these
what a political
problems,
question,
yes.
political answer is: deception, managing. Let's manage.
But also responding to
if the president
issues.
came out and made it, because what they're asking for, the president came out and made a commitment about increase of this supposed money. Was that a political scenario? Was that a political management of the situation? Because if the implementation hasn't
But
come
even
up
responding
today,
to those issues, isn't that political enough?
you know, politicians, as I've told you, because of the other thing, let me call it the thing, the thing of socio-economic welfare, social welfare versus political welfare. It can't give room to that. Political welfare doesn't answer directly to, because how does that benefit my stay in the chair of politics? Does that keep a member of parliament in power? So that's the misconception. But the things that keep people in power are reacted to very fast. I don't want to start giving examples. But if I was at liberty,
yes.
you would be shocked. I can give you political investments vis-a-vis social or welfare investments. And you can also see, for example, a politician must move comfortably. What do you need for that?
Well, at least we know that in the next financial year, we are not purchasing any.
We don't know. We don't know.
We are
yet
to see, yes.
The first thing a member of parliament gets when they get in parliament is what? A car. Over 200 million. Because it's political administration. But what's the first thing a medical intern is asking for? To be deployed. Yes. Because now that is welfare. And it's just a politician. That's why, unless God blesses a country and you get politicians who are sane and who are pro-people, some of these challenges will never go. So, about the intern, for me, lastly, Philomena, I would say this. The medical intern, it's unfortunate, but again, there's a ray of hope. We are not, all is not lost. The president is intentional as he came out to make a declaration a couple of months ago. He also added his voice in May and said, no, we need to find a solution for these young lads. The minister, the Speaker of Parliament has received the petition in line of the same. They summoned the Prime Minister. We believe all these people can't fail these young people. Let's motivate. Let's not make people hate these professions. Like what happened in COVID, you remember?
Oh, yes. Oh,
now,
yes.
recruitment.
The frontline workers
I want you to go and look at
and,
the School of Education before COVID and now, in terms of registering numbers. Teachers have become beggars. Like, they have become so, like in Uganda we say Baba Mana Mwensa. Now, even the most celebrated professions like doctors, it is by time it is losing the grind. It is losing the grind with time. Before you know, who will be studying those courses? So everyone is going to become a broker in this country, somehow to broker something.
And yes, we are trying to get rid of the brokerage business.
So
that's what we are trying to.
So let's respect people's professions and support them. That's our mandate as a country.
Absolutely. Yeah. There is feedback here from a gentleman who says, personally, I agree with government position. The money spent annually on internees should be saved to recruit health workers than paying each internee over 2.5 million every month, after which they go away and live facilitated without health workers. But so what happens? Because we have...
For the time they are interning, are they seated?
Mm-hmm. Because they have a lot of contribution they do in these hospitals. Most of them, by the way, the underwork is really done by the interns. So
not the underwork.
Actually, the real work.
Those people you see are interns.
Well, his argument is that the internees should be provided with only basics like accommodation, meals and transport, not salary, surely, because we also did internship without a penny.
Let me give you an example. When you talk about medical interns, people I think mistake them for your intercom.
Yeah, the ordinary
for you do intern in year 2 as part of your, but these people have actually finished school.
They finished school. Yes.
This 1 year is like a deployment for them to start off. Mm-hmm. They're actually working. Mm-hmm. They're not like some of us. I see some people who come to do intern and they're always being sent newspapers and airtime.
And coffee.
And that's why I tell these young people in law school that why do you go for intern in year 2? Mm-hmm. You've hardly studied 20 laws. What are you going to... Bagina kutu mama uli, like you're going to become a messenger. So these people are not messengers. These are actual doctors. They prescribe, they diagnose, they all do these things. Mm-hmm. Unlike some of, when you talk, medical interning is different from, so different from other types of intern, honestly. And that's something that probably people need to understand.
And it's not like they jump out of year 2 and then they go and start doing internship.
They're finished their 5 years.
Yes. Well, we'll leave that at that. But looking at our daily papers, what are the big stories you need to look out for? The New Vision. Land for officers raided, vital files stolen, and Justice Amoko, MPs pay tribute, a family divided over burial, and still Museveni rejects a sports bill, and Democratic Republic of Congo sends team to Kampala. Of course, this is in the Kasese murder, and Uganda AU begins Somalia pullout. So grab yourself the New Vision to catch up on that. What we have in the Daily Monitor.
Now schools to get 15 million textbooks for new subjects, and a fight erupts over Justice Amoko's burial. Now Rwandans rush to Uganda after COVID tests are dropped. And of course also you'll be looking at another Kasese attack, victim dies, and don't evict seating tenants, says government.
The Daily Nation revealed cooking oil and rice tycoons. Who are the big names? Now, Trade CS Moses Korea yesterday tabled a list of 11 companies contracted by the Kenya National Trading Corporation to import various commodities, of course, in a plan to lower food prices. And food prices fares to go up as members of parliament vote to increase fuel costs. And looking at corruption, whistleblower in the NHIF Haste Hospital's expose fears for his life. And talking about tragedy, search for missing Titanic, a submersible like going into space. And impeachment, Oduwoy demanded 1 million shillings a chair for his office, according to the MCS. And crossing over to the Citizen, mixed views, agreed Prime Minister's port pledge. 2 issues, tech center stage in budget debate. $300 million glass factory set to slash imports, and benefits and challenges of village community banks. And finally, government appoints team to study Tanzania's satellite needs. The Citizen, the Daily Nation, the Daily Monitor, and of course the New Vision for you this Thursday morning. We will go for a break and we'll be returning.
Wakato, this is a quick call. I'm almost out of minutes. Now, so the center.
Why rush through such important conversations? Airtel Uganda has made it possible for you to call across all networks in Uganda at the best rates with the new Bona voice bundles. Stay connected anytime, anywhere, with minutes valid for calls on all networks. Dial *100*1#. Select voice bundles and select Bona voice bundles today.
Airtel, a reason to imagine.
Ocho, mwami musoke. Ndiyo sene kusanga.
Ate chichi.
Munange, anti gwama nyo kunyinyonyola ebintu by'emisolo bino n'embitegeera.
Ate chichi leero.
Mbadde ku dduuka ne mpulira nga abakyala bagamba mbu tulina okwewandiisa mu nkola ya IFRIS.
Tukikolanga.
Kituufu
nnyo.
Mbadde sikimanyi nakyo.
Eyo y'enkola egenda okutuyamba okulwaninga bizinesi zaffe mu ngeri ya digital.
Etya.
Oba olina okuwandiisa bizinesi yo mu IFRIS osobola okumanya omuwendo gw'ebintu by'olina mu bizinesi yo, enfulumya n'ennyingiza mu bizinesi yo. Awo URA esobola okukola omulimu gwayo gw'emisolo obulungi.
Nedda mwami musoke kye sitegeera. IFRIS eyingireko mu bizinesi yange.
Kakati enkola ya IFRIS eyingiza bizinesi yo mu sisitemu ya URA kubanga tekyali kya buntu bulamu okugerekera omusolo ogutali mutuufu abateebereza buteebereza.
Ekyo kituufu ddala bannange, ekyo kituufu kubanga mazima obadde omusolo gubadde gwapaala bupaazi ng'ogenda n'osasula omusolo gw'otomanyiiko omutwe n'amagulu kwegamba bambi nga tekiriiyo.
Olaba kakati ate n'ekirala IFRIS eyamba okukuuma ebiwandiiko bya bizinesi yo kuba biyinza okubulako, biyinza okukwata omuliro, naye kati wano IFRIS biba biri digitalized.
Bannange nenkola ntya okwewandiisa?
Kyavu nnyo waludde dda. Okwewandiisa mu nkola ya IFRIS genda ku kibanja kya URA www.ura.go.ug awo olondeko e-invoicing. Awo no ugoberere endagiriro. URA tukulaakulanyize wamu Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by Gatawa with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial *165*5*3# to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
This isn't just a girl. She is the future. This is a teacher, a doctor, a community leader, our future president.
This is our family's pride. This is my friend.
This is the future of our nation.
She is the future of Uganda, and the policies I enact today will protect her from teenage pregnancy.
She is the hope of our community, and I will talk to others about how we must protect her.
She is our family's pride, and I will protect her from child marriage and talk to her about the dangers of teenage pregnancy. We each have a role to play in empowering our teenage girls to protect them from child marriage and pregnancy, because when we empower them, we empower our nation. Protect the girl, save the nation.
Their support meant so much to me. I stayed focused and was protected from child marriage and teenage pregnancy. I will support other girls against child marriage and teenage pregnancy.
Take action. Report any case of defilement or child marriage to the police or call Sawuti 116.
Attention coffee farmers, traders and processors. Uganda Coffee Development Authority has important advice for a successful harvest season. Pick only red farm cherries to achieve good weight and high quality coffee. For natural processing, dry coffee on tarpaulin, concrete or clothing to avoid mold growth. Avoid heaping coffee on the floor. Store coffee in jute bags and in ventilated rooms on wooden pellets. For more information on good harvest practices, visit your nearest extension worker or Uganda Coffee Development Authority offices.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda. Welcome to the traffic updates this morning, looking at areas around Nakawa, of course, and Naguru and Tina. This is a very busy Thursday morning, I can tell, on our roads this morning, and the traffic clearly taking over for the biggest part. Looking at areas around Nakawa, Chinawataka, traffic has already built over there and clearly taking over this biggest part of the road. The stretches coming in from Chinawataka as you're headed towards town. Nakawa is not any different. The traffic here is already heavy. Looking at the colors, of course, progressing from red to maroon, showing you that this part of the road could be impassable as of now. And focusing on areas in Naguru, traffic is starting to build up and clearly showing that if you are intending to navigate this part of Kampala, well, you'll be expecting these areas here that will definitely be taking on. And as you continue and proceed to town, the traffic actually becomes heavier by the minute. Looking at the area around Lugogo on Kampala-Jinja Highway, could be a free pass for you, but it's not a given that you won't be coming across traffic as you're headed further into the city center. Looking at areas of the industrial area rather, the 6th Street already heavy and heavily burdened with the traffic clearly being shown over here. And looking at Old Port Bay Road as well, it's not any different. The traffic already starting to build up these orange spots showing that. And again, looking at the 7th Street this morning, very, very heavy on the traffic and the stretch clearly taking on as you're headed towards the roundabout. And speaking of the roundabout, access road this morning that brings in cars from areas of Mukwano, Nsambia and the other surrounding parts. Heavy traffic you should be expecting. This stretch over here could be a no-go area for you, so if you have an alternative, I would encourage you to look into that. Access road very busy this morning. An alternative for this could be Station Road, where you join eventually Kampala Road. Looking at the main road, Kampala-Jinja Road, of course, in town here, very heavy on the traffic as well. We do have Yusuf Lule Road with cars coming in from the upper part of town, so definitely you'll be expecting some traffic as you're joining into the main road. Heading straight to Kampala Road this morning, while the traffic is already dominating, the orange stretches are quite long, so you would be expected to be a little bit patient if you are already in town. And other areas, looking at Shimoni Road surrounding again Kampala Road, having traffic over there. A build-up. Speak Road is not any different, quite heavy in the traffic as we speak. And Pilkington Road as well, not any different. Alternative to this could be Nile Avenue, which is actually a free area as of now. The green lines are very dominant, so you could choose to use that as opposed to joining onto the main road from Kampala-Jinja. So Nile Avenue could definitely be your go-to area as of now. And of course, extending further to Nakasero Road, well, that one could be a very busy road anytime now because the traffic is already starting to build up. Lumumba Avenue, quite empty as we speak, and Chagwa Road also another alternative you could use. Buganda Road, of course, which is a one-way as you're headed out of town, are having a traffic that is starting to build up. So yes, I could say that we do have some heavy traffic coming in on most of our roads here in Kampala within the city center. So please do exercise a lot of patience and a lot of responsibility and sanity on our roads this morning to avoid any chaos and any unforeseen struggle. We will leave it at that. We do have agenda coming up in a few minutes.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Juko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better.
PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Ojja kumpa irisiti tompa bidala irisiti ojja kumpa irisiti tompa bidala mpa irisiti yange.
That's right. Insist on getting your e-receipt. It's your ticket to fantastic prizes, including motorbikes, laptops, fridges, and a fully paid 6-day safari for 2 in Uganda. Take a picture of your e-receipt, upload it to the URA website or mobile app, and you could be the lucky winner. The more receipts you upload, the higher your chances of winning. Terms and conditions apply. More details on our social media channels.
Uganda Revenue Authority. Developing Uganda together.
These days, our homes are no longer just the places we live. It's where we attend meetings, go to class, keep each other safe, and entertain ourselves. To do this smoothly, you need a reliable internet connection. Buy the MTN WakaNet router, which connects up to 32 devices, and get a free 40 GB data bundle at only 149,000 shillings. Or buy the MTN WakaNet MiFi at only 75,000 shillings and enjoy a free 15 GB bundle to stream, study, work, and play on the go. Visit any MTN service center to buy the MTN WakaNet router or MiFi and enjoy the internet that does amazing things.
Previously, in most of these areas that we had prioritized, farmers would produce, but you don't access market because the roads are not there. So you have the middlemen that would have access and they persevere to go into those deep in the villages and they buy with their own prices. They can go there and set prices for you, and yet you're the ones who have produced this food. But now this time with the market linkages, people can now access market because we have bridges that were, streams that were bottlenecks to access by the farmers. It has constructed bridges, so farmers can now reach market.
The head of Public Service and Secretary to Cabinet invites all ministries, departments and agencies to participate in the celebration of the Africa Public Service Day to be held on 23rd June 2023 at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds. The theme of this year is the African Continental Free Trade Area will require a fit-for-purpose African public administration to succeed. The celebration shall be met with Inter-MDS Sports Gala from 19th to 22nd June 2023 at Makerere University Sports Grounds. MDAs will carry out corporate social responsibility events in their respective communities. There will be a walk and exhibitions by MDAs on 23rd June 2023 at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds. The chief guest will be His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda. The public is welcome to the event to interact with government officials.
So when you pay your taxes, you are investing in the future of Uganda.
Uganda Revenue Authority.
developing Uganda.
Kyebagala okugamba nti ssente URA ezitukuŋŋaanyamu ze zimala okukola ebintu bino byonna, enguudo, amasomero n'ebintu ebirala. Muzeyi, abo abasajja basolooza ssente nnyingi nnyo. Olaba nti oboda boda banzako emiliyoni aga.
Miliyoni 4?
Miliyoni 4 zowa boda.
Olowooza atunda okutunza emmere wa restaurant.
Nyabo, sigo wa restaurant. Muceere, nyama bisi. Ng'olwa miliyoni 6.
Eki?
Lwali kati ataniza alina kawushimbe n'akabaala. Muzeyi, kati ate gofudde mufi. Kiki?
Leka naawe. Lekerawo okulimba. URA era omusolo gwe bayita presumptive tax. Oba guyita omusolo ogwafa oba business obutono obuyingiza okuva ku miliyoni 10 paka ku 15 obutasukkawo omwaka.
Kati olonze banategeera bati nyingiza yange.
Ate oba olina okukuuma ebitabo byonna ebikwata ku bizinensi yo. Ate ekyangu kwe kugenda gwe kennyini n'obensooka n'obatwalira ebitabo bino ku ofiisi zaabwe eza URA ezikuli okumpi. Awo ne babeera nga bagerekera omusolo omutuufu.
Ekitegeeza bali olina kwetega beetege.
Kyekyo bwe beetege bweteze osirike.
Ekitegeeza nti onyanyimba bulimbi.
Era bwe ate baakulimba nnyo. Kubanga ate mu ababooda mulina sasula emitwalo ejja omwaka.
Mitwalo ebiri?
Ale kulira gwessebu obwedde oyogera ebigambo nga babikunyumiza n'otulimba abantu abakulu. Wammataka kutunyonnyole.
URA ekujjukiza okusasula omusolo gwo ogwa presumptive tax. Guno gwe musolo ogusasulwa abo abaddukanya bizinesi entono era gusinziira ku nnyingiza ya bizinesi yo nga gusasulwa omulundi gumu buli mwaka gw'ebyensimbi. Genda mu ssimu yo onyige kamunyenye 285 kadaala oba sasula ng'okozesa mobile money oba mu bank oba kozesa ba mobile agents. Uganda Revenue Authority, tukulaakulanyize wamu Uganda. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda. Welcome to GMU Agenda, where we do have our very special guest for the day taking us through some of the important things that matter to us as a society. And of course, it is 8 a.m. and the day is Thursday, 22nd of June 2023. My name is Philomena Masco. Well, this morning we are going to be having a conversation between the people in a studio and you, our wonderful viewers, when it comes to road safety here in the country. Well, on several occasions, and I think about 3 or 4 times in a week, we will talk about people doing the most ridiculous, the most obscure things on the road. Road users in all contexts, pedestrians, drivers, cyclists, to mention but a few. But also there are certain activities that we have fully indulged ourselves in, clearly that are the biggest drivers to some of these road carnages. We have seen the numbers going high, and we talk about accidents. We are talking about accidents on our Ugandan roads. Well, this morning I am very glad to introduce our guest in studio with us, who is going to be taking us through some of the things we're doing on the road and that are actually wrong, but also what we shouldn't be or what we should be doing on the road. The ultimate goal here is to ensure that we are safe. Everybody is safe on the road. Well, I am very happy to have Mr. Tamale Wilson join me this morning for this wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome, Prince.
Well, Mr. Tamale Wilson is the director for Country View Driving School. And this gentleman has been in business since 1983. He knows exactly what transpires on these roads, and clearly we have the right person who is going to be taking us through some of these things. But one of the most important things we want to focus on this morning is defensive driving. What is defensive driving? When we talk about defensive driving, what do you understand? What comes off your head when you hear a statement like this? Well, we will be starting our conversations from there. And again, like always, I do encourage, this is a two-way conversation, us and you, the viewer. So let us know. Our WhatsApp number is 0709-602-592. And it's very open. We want to hear from you. Let us know your questions, your take, your 2 cents, and of course on Twitter, hashtag UBCGMU. And of course, I'll be happy to see your feedback on this very specific topic. Well, getting into it, Sam.
Yes.
Defensive driving. What is defensive driving?
Yeah. Good morning, viewers. They have already told you my name is Tamara Wilson, and I want to go straight to the question. But before I do that, I want viewers to know that we are using roads. People are dying on our roads. Many diseases kill people, and one of them is the road accident, carnage, crashes, and people who are misbehaving, who are not trained, who don't know how to use the roads in different ways. We have, let me start with our document which governs all the moving elements on our roads, the Traffic and Road Safety Act. We derive the highway code from that document, the highway code and the Traffic and Road Safety Act. Defensive driving. Defensive driving can be interpreted, or somebody can understand defensive driving like to prevent preventable accidents. People do many things on the roads, but 95% accidents can be avoided. 5% might not be avoided. Those are disasters by God. But you see that 76% accidents are caused by drivers. 16% are caused by change of weather, adverse conditions.
Yes.
And 8% are caused by defective vehicles, like vehicles we call DMC, dangerous mechanical conditions.
Yes.
Now, if we can prevent preventable accidents, we can be safe on the roads. We can save money in terms of compensations in the courts of laws. We can save lives, and you can you know that the things which die are animals and people. We can save time. I'm not going into a lot of arguments. You will buy my bumper, you will buy my
yes,
side
you
mirror.
definitely have to replace some of
all
these
those
things. Yes.
But also we have to think of the actions of other road users, which are usually bad. Because you can travel or drive from Kampala to Masaka, and I know, trust me, you cannot miss an accident in between.
Yes.
So we have to think also about the adverse conditions in between, in the event of driving, in the event of pedestrians walking on the road, cyclists, motorcyclists, and other people using the road. So we can say defensive driving is behaving in a manner that you can avoid most of the accidents, which are really can be avoided if really people behave very well on our roads.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Well, I also understand there is something called the driving philosophy.
Yes.
What is this? What is the driving philosophy, and what has it got to do with a driver or anybody who uses the road?
Yes. In every sector, if you do something with confidence, if you do something with the aim of being successful in this world, you have to follow some procedures.
Yes.
Driving philosophy is all about people knowing that steering, braking, accelerating, turning, and doing other things using components of vehicles is not enough. It's not enough. People have to know that there are some things more a driver must do to be safe. In the first place, himself, the people he's carrying in his vehicles, the people who are using other roads, we call third party, and other road users. So it involves many things. If drivers and people using the road get proud of their job, are you driving a PSV? PSV means public service vehicle. Are you driving a private vehicle? Are you driving a motorcycle? Or are you riding a bicycle? Remember that everybody, everything on the road is a vehicle. You have to know that you are driving yourself, even pedestrians.
Yes.
You have to practice things like discipline. Discipline is doing things in their procedures, following the norms, not only for transport or driving, but even in different sectors. You have to practice consideration. You have to practice concentration. Concentration is 100%. Has to be with the driver. If you concentrate, you are disciplined, you think and consider other people, you are going to do a very good job. That also involves anticipation. So you have to predict. As a driver on the road, you have to expect the unexpected. I know, Masiko, that people on the road think that if another person comes from any kind of corner or direction and he sees a stop sign, you expect somebody to stop. But there are people who don't even stop.
Yes.
There are people cheating traffic lights.
They just continue, go straight, they're entering the road, just
you expect somebody to respect the roundabouts, the junctions, and other dangerous and sensitive places on the road. We call them, in most cases, black spots. But people don't think about that. So in the event of a crash, you see that somebody can say, I looked, but I didn't see. But most of the people really on the roads lack a training. Some people have many things they are thinking of. Some are using drugs. Some are drunkards.
Yes.
Some don't mind what they are doing. Some don't know that if I'm riding a motorcycle, if I'm driving a public service vehicle, it's the one which feeding us, helps my family. It builds our economy and such things. So that's why we say that driving philosophy is very important.
Okay. And what do you mean by, what is meant by the areas of driving? When you hear something like this is an area of driving, what exactly does it mean? What are we looking at?
Yes. Somebody using the road, let me say generally, somebody using the road, people think that drivers of different vehicles are the ones who are mandated to use the roads. But people, everybody is paying for the road. That's why we call it a public road.
Yes.
Pedestrians, people selling things on roads, people, you know, are promoting things, school children, people driving animals and other things. So everybody must use the road. Somebody to be safe on the road, if we talk about road safety, it involves somebody to have a skill. One of the areas of driving is skill. You must be skillful. What is skill? Skill is somebody doing or using, if I can come to a vehicle, and you really use the vehicle perform the way you like, and it performs the way it likes you to handle it. So using all the body parts, your body parts, that includes the eyes to scan the road very well, the hands to have all the controls of the components of the vehicle,
yes,
the brain to think, plan, judge, and make a good decision. That's all skill. The legs will handle the pedals. Now, the hands and the legs will take you where the eyes and the brains want you to go. That is skill. It involves knowledge. Somebody knowledgeable understands what he's doing and knows what he's doing. So knowledge helps skill. If you are knowledgeable, you can handle and do the skill. You can bridge skill and knowledge by attitude. So somebody doing something, acting, and then it decides what to do, comes from brain, and that is mental. That's what we call attitude. So if you have those three, you are going to be a competent driver. And that's what we call
knowledge, skill, and attitude.
Attitude.
Yes.
So put together all the things, you'll be a competent driver, and those are really the areas of driving.
Before even we get into that, I would really love to understand, when you talk about attitude, what exactly do you mean? Breaking it down, attitude on the road, what exactly are you looking at?
Yes. Can I start, Pasco, can I start with the knowledge? Because I have broken down the skill.
Yes.
Knowledge, let me start with skill. Skill is really practical driving. Somebody driving practically on the road.
Yes.
While knowledge is the theoretical part of driving. Somebody has to get the knowledge, knowing and understanding what to do, then he can, the knowledge can support skill. Attitude is the general outlook of things somebody can scan on the road. He's looking at the vehicle, he's driving. Is the vehicle in good condition mechanically? Has he checked that vehicle before he starts it in the morning? Or if you have parked it for some hours? Has he checked the road surface where he's driving? Is it maram? Is it tarmac? Is it rainy? Is it slippery? Has that somebody looked at himself as a driver? Are you fit and well to drive? Because some people come on roads when they are drunk, alcohol. They have taken drugs, marijuana and other things. They have stress. I know that we have maybe two types of stress, sad stress and exciting stress, but all of them are bad.
Yes.
So the mental part of driving is the attitude. What comes from a driver is really comes out of his brains. A driver can wait at the red light in the junction, and he can wait for at least 2 to 3 minutes.
Yes.
Then all of a sudden, something comes from his mental, from his head. Why am I waiting for all this time? Moreover, then he overtakes about 20 vehicles at a time. In the event of doing that, he comes across a hillbrow. A hillbrow is a hilltop. A big bus is coming, or a trailer. Do you see how they meet at the top of the hill?
Yes.
And then he is crushed and he's made like a chapati. So somebody can do something right, but the attitude makes him judge wrongly, plan wrongly, and also make a bad decision in the process of driving on the road.
I now know where most Ugandans fall when it comes to the challenges.
Yes.
Clearly, the attitude is one of the biggest problems.
Yes, please.
Well, we're talking about road safety awareness, safety of pedestrians, drivers, and passengers on roads. And we just want to hear from you. What can we do to ensure that people are in the right attitude, ensure that you are in the right attitude as a driver on any road, to ensure that people are safe, not only you but other road users, because you could cost very many people, especially when it comes to their lives. And I have Tamale Wilson here to take us through some of these things. Defensive driving, you are a culprit, and well, we are talking to you this morning. Now, Wilson, moving on, what would drivers have as pillars?
Yes, pillars.
And what are pillars anyway? When we talk about pillars,
yes.
What are we looking at? What are we talking about?
Yes,
yes.
You're asking a right question. You cannot start a building without a foundation. And most of the story buildings are built and stand or sit on pillars. Drivers must have more than, let me just mention a few.
Yes.
You are a driver, you are on the road, you are driving different class of vehicle, doing different purposes.
Yes.
But then the question is, do you see where you are going? Somebody blind is really in total doom, because you're in total darkness. You can't see where you are going.
Yes.
And one of the pillars is the driver or any road user to scan the road very well, right ahead and also behind. That's why I say a driver on the road has 2 eyes. Some people mention 5, some people mention 6, but let me tell you, you have only 2 eyes. The eyes God has given you to focus and scan the road for hazards. Let us take other road users and other things on the road as hazards, because they are obstacles. You are not alone on the road.
Yes.
Now, if you can scan behind, that is done by mirrors. And let me tell you, drivers and road users, please, more especially ranging from a cyclist, because you, somebody having a bicycle, you must know that the bicycle must be fully equipped. Bicycles must have side mirrors. But how many bicycles you see?
I don't think I've seen a bicycle. Maybe I haven't been very keen, but I don't think I've seen a bicycle with a side mirror.
They don't have side mirrors, they don't have lights, headlamps, and other things. A bicycle must be fully equipped by law, having even side mirrors like a boda and other vehicles. If you can scan the road very well from behind, that is the second eye. Mirrors. The road has, God has given us 2 eyes, but we have 1 focus. Do you see Tamara Wilson's 2 here? No, you have 2 eyes on the border, you see person, 1.
Yes.
So we have got 1 focus ahead of us, things ahead of us, and things behind us. Those are mirrors. Smaller vehicles and bodabodas have a few mirrors, but big vehicles have many mirrors. But the most purpose for mirrors is scanning behind, things which are coming from behind. More especially side mirrors show us things which are approaching. And the driving mirror inside give us things which are about 30 meters, 50 meters from our vehicle.
Yes.
So seeing is the most important pillar. You must have a very good eyesight. Not that the eyes are sick of trachoma or something else, but the things we are using, especially alcohol, drugs, fatigue, and tiredness, cause a loss. Do you know how you can see somebody who is tired? We start with the eyes. Somebody starts to doze.
Yes.
And that's a very important pillar. Second one. The second pillar is all about mental, the brain.
Yes.
You must think what you are going to do. You must be a good driver who is seeing situations. Is it foggy? Is it a lot of density? Are they built up? Many things are done there. What is there? And you must put those hazards in a group of importance. What should I start with? What is next? What is killing me quickly? Then you act. So if we think about what we are going to do, as brain supports us, That's a very important pillar. Third one is if you talk about the eyes, talk about the body at large.
Yes.
The actions you are doing on the road. Can your body control the vehicle if you are drunkard?
Absolutely,
Absolutely not. So people must know that we must be in a very good position, very good health, fit to drive and control a vehicle or anything on the road. Take an example of a pedestrian. Somebody who is drowsy or drunkard or has something else within his life, he can even walk like this. He can be killed. He can be killed by other vehicles and other things because that somebody is not sober to use the road. So we have to be fit and well, more especially using our eyes to scan, using our brain, and also the body part. We must be physically fit and well to run the vehicle, to use the road at any moment.
So you should actually be in it, not just there physically, but mentally or elsewhere.
Yes.
Which very many Ugandans really, have you, I don't know, also if you have seen very many people in their cars, usually during the rush hours,
Yes.
someone looks so deep in thought and
Yes.
they're driving and
Yes.
you're wondering, is this person even here? And that's how you see them, you know, slamping the brakes and occasionally, and you're wondering what is happening, what is going on.
I'm sorry, you're happy with my name, with that name.
Absolutely,
Yes.
I am okay with it.
When and where and how do accidents happen? Let's talk, as you have just said, that statement you have made. Accidents always happen. In the most cases at night, during rainy season and rush hours. You have talked about rush hours. Somebody is rushing, take the child at school, and he's at 8. Suppose you don't catch this time. Can we be here? So somebody is rushing. So in the event, people crash. So rush hour is a dangerous time actually for drivers and other road users to prevent accidents. So you see, like you said, their attitudes change. Let me give you another example. You are rushing and we are at traffic junction. Red is there stopping us. The red has no compromise. It's just stop.
Yes.
Now, you see borders in front making a bundle in front of vehicles. And green comes. One of them starts to kick the border. There is no fuel. What he does, he puts it upside down, pumps, all breathes, all pumps pressure into it.
I've never understood what usually goes on there, but I've seen it happen very many times.
Now, what is happening? What's the attitude of other drivers? Beeping, you move away. Now, you are changing his attitude and you are causing road stress to that person.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we do await your questions on this as we're talking about road safety. Some of these things that we actually take for granted and we never give serious attention to. Looking at things like areas of driving, looking at things like the driving philosophy. What do we mean by that? Pillars of a driver, what it entails. And what exactly should be done to ensure that you are an efficient driver. But also, Wilson, we have something we call components of driving. What are components of driving? What do we mean by this?
By this. A driver has to know that he is 5 in 1. If I talk about components of driving, let me give an example. We also have components of cooking, and most people cook. Some cook for other people. If you take a scenario where you have a big number of people and you are preparing food for them, if I give you 10 sacks of rice, and I put them in a very big saucepan for you to cook, or somebody to cook who is not experienced.
Yes.
You end up making porridge with that rice. So the components of cooking need about 3 or 5 major things. If you want to make the food and make the dining table colorful for people, you have to have these 5 things or components of cooking. Number 1, you need the utensils, where to cook, sefriyas and other things.
Yes.
You need the food itself. You cannot cook stones. You need somebody to cook the food. You need where to cook the food. So you must have somewhere. I don't think you can cook food in the bathroom, but you need a special place like a kitchen. You will need the energy. That means charcoal. You need firewood. You need gas and other things. Same way, if we go back to components of driving, that includes a vehicle. The vehicle you are driving must be in very good mechanical condition. Check it before you start it. And even I can give you a formula, but maybe I can give it later. But when you were looking at vehicles, they are modern vehicles these days. They are old vehicles of that age.
Yes.
So vehicles are important because they are the ones we use. And remember, I told you viewers that anything on the road is a vehicle. So if you look at the driver, we don't have even vehicles in Uganda driving themselves. Not yet. No, I think they're in Europe or somewhere else. But if you are the driver of that vehicle, then who are you? If you know that the qualities needed for your vehicle to be on the road are plain and clear, they must have all the components working very well mechanically. Then the driver, you must be somebody who can control a vehicle and you have the qualities. Remember that a vehicle is controlled by a driver, and the driver who is controlling the vehicle must have qualities to drive it safely on the road. So the driver is another second component. Then where do you drive the vehicle from? Are you going to drive it in banana plantations? No. No, that can't work. So we drive vehicles on roads. And if we have types of vehicles driven in waters, we have vehicles on railways, we have a plane and rockets and other things. But our concern now is the road. So you must drive a vehicle on the road. By the way, what's the road? The road is a demarcated place by municipal council, KCCA, district council, UNURA and other things. It must be dug very well. It must be gazetted, move everything. It must be hardened and designed with signs, trenches and other things, more especially traffic signs and signals.
Yes.
So that's the road. So another component is all about traffic rules. There is nothing you would do in this world without its rules and laws and bylaws. So if you're a driver on the road, you must know about the rules governing the road, and that is called the highway code. So the highway code is giving you the advice, the regulations, and also the guidance how to use our different roads in this country and maybe in other countries. Every country has its highway code. So you must follow the rules of the road if you want to be safe on the road. Another one, and very important, you are going to crash all the time if you don't plan your trip.
Yes.
People just come out of their country, homes,
and just get into the car and start,
and go. I know that there are some techniques. There are many vehicles which are not using a key.
Just
sometimes
press
a button, some button is remote. Like mine, I can just cough and the engine starts. So all that technology is there. So you must plan your trip. Why people are impatient on the road is lack of planning. We call it trip plan. Plan your trip. To be safe on the road, you must know what it takes. For example, from Kampala, you are going to Masaka. The stretch is 80 miles. You were needed in Masaka at around 12 noon. You are the guest of honor. Nothing can start without you. Then, how to drive safe? You have to take 2 hours. So drivers are doing mathematics. They are doing geography. They are doing geography. They are doing history without knowing that they are doing those things. But what matters, you must plan your journey if you want to be safe on the road. Make a trip plan, know where you are going, know where you are going to take fuel, what's the condition of the road, how is jam. For example, there is jam everywhere.
Which route? Which route?
Yes, which route be ideal. Yeah, will be safe at night where there are many hooligans and thieves. So you have to plan all that to be safe and be there at the time. And
I don't know if again this could be the reason people failing to to plan for their trips or journeys. I'm sure you have seen very many drivers being very indecisive on the road.
Yes.
And you're looking at this vehicle, you're behind this vehicle, and clearly you're seeing this person is contemplating on whether to take route A or route B, and they're very, 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 very indecisive. And meanwhile, this is really sabotaging with the people behind. You're causing a lot of confusion, and you've seen cars and border borders bumping into people because they were planning to take this route, but then midway, they decide to just change.
You have to
make a U-turn where it's not supposed to be.
Yes, make use of the lanes. Make use of the place where you are. Maybe a junction. There might be traffic lights. There might be police traffic officer to control that or regulate the movements, but you must know that you have to stand or park at a very good lane depending on where you go when you are released by a green light. People figured in there, like we said, and I'm going to Makelele, I'm going to Kasubi, I'm going to Bakuli. Which lane are you taking? And you see somebody changing there and then changing mine, trying to put indicator, and these people are hooting at him. All those are what you are talking about. You have to know exactly what you are going to do at a particular place and a particular time.
And I've seen the most common one is when there are traffic lights, and probably there are cars that are branching off headed this side, and there are others continuing. For a person who is supposed to be branching off there in a lane where the cars are going straight. Now the light has released the people going this side, but they cannot move, and now you're seeing a lot of chaos. Very common chaos we've seen on the road. Well, before we continue, I do have a couple of reactions and also just a couple of questions. Obed Kakoba from Ambara says, in Uganda, do we have specific lanes designed for motorcycles and vehicles? For example, vehicle drivers think that motorcycles are not meant to use the same lane with them, and it has caused many accidents. Where it's necessary for vehicles to overtake other road users, they continue at the same speed and line, leaving the motorists with no way on the road. Maybe if you can, could you please elaborate on that?
Yes. On the roads, we have to respect each other. We have to respect the rules. We have to respect everything with our other road users. We have to interact friendly, and we have to be responsible. If you are driving a certain class of vehicle, take an example, he's talking about border. You have to know that borders are not exceptionals. The rules concern them too. They have to comply to the rules. But if it comes to respecting lanes and other conditions of the road, motorcycles make a bundle in front of vehicles, all cars. That one is not right. Everybody has to be behind the stop line, followed by the pedestrian crossing, maybe zebra crossing. Motorcycles must drive or ride. If I use the word drive, it means the same. Moreover, we don't have a driving license. We don't have riding license. It is all driving license. Motorcycles must keep extremely on the left, under one file. under one file I meet behind one another.
Yes.
You have to make sure that you ride your motorcycle unless you are almost reaching a place where you are going to turn right. But also in doing that, make sure you allow other people, all make sure they have seen you. And you have to do certain actions. Arm signal, body signal. You have to put your hand showing the direction of travel. Now, if you are you are in 4, 3, or 2 lanes, please don't spread around. Don't be many. And you know, you are like vehicles. Be on one side, and that will be safe for everybody. Road users and other drivers, you must know that rules of the road must be honored by everybody. Yes, please.
Okay. Richard Andrew Idoro says there is one big challenge that we also come across. We have dead dogs and cats that are left to rot on the roads after being knocked by reckless drivers. Then we have damaged poles, we have road guides and guards. How do we ensure that all these are gotten rid of and made safe, road places made safe for us to use, especially the road users, the continuous road users? How best can we respond to an issue like that?
In every department, there are people concerned. There are people who clear and clean our roads. And to Ugandans and viewers, we must make our roads clean and clear at all times. Don't power, don't put, don't try to tip. If I talk about tip, I talk about sand, bricks, rocks, and other things on the road, on the carriageway, usually on the carriageway. Carriageway is a part where we drive vehicles.
Yes.
Take an example of a pavement on the left. Take an example of a pavement on the right. The remaining part is what we call carriageway. Nothing should be done there. Even I give advice to my mothers, my aunts, my brothers who are cleaning roads. If you are cleaning a road like a KCCA, you have to put the broom this way, and you yourself stand at the pavement or the island, drive the rubbish. But don't be there. Somebody can knock you.
I mean, we've seen them. They're really doing a wonderful job, but the way they are doing it is putting their lives at risk.
Exactly as you said. Put on reflecting jackets so that you are seen. Somebody might have crash with you or knock you unknowingly. But because of what has taken place, maybe somebody has squeezed, maybe somebody is in a rush, and then he makes this somebody to pull away, and it ends up knocking a lady or somebody like that. Now, dogs, rubbish, and other things block our roads, trenches, and other things. Think about the floods we get when it's raining. So please, let everybody do its work or her work. Let us clear our roads. In a moment, if a dog dies there, if anything falls, a tree, electric tree, everything, let every department concerned clear that for the road safety purposes, because it will be a hazard and dangerous for other road users.
Okay. Alan Bayer talks about, and he wants to know why we, especially on this road safety awareness, why authorities have failed to manage borders that overtake on the left. Yes. Is that, are we supposed to be overtaking on the left? Is that
not only borders,
even vehicles.
Even vehicles.
I have seen the biggest of vehicles overtaking on the left, and I'm thinking, how are you processing this information, you as a person who is doing it? Why are you doing this in the first place?
We actually teach and train about that. But people and the other road users have to understand that in Uganda, in Commonwealth countries, which call CHOGM, we are supposed to drive on the left.
Yes.
Now, if you are driving on the left, you can only overtake on the right. And pedestrians, please know your side as you walk. You must always walk on the right. It's very dangerous somebody to knock you from behind. So if you are walking, you're a pedestrian, walk on the right facing traffic coming from the opposite side. Now, if it comes to a time of overtaking, Masiko, you'll have me some time to talk about overtaking process, but let's hit about it. Now, if you are overtaking, you have to know that use only the right to overtake.
Yes.
But most of these motorcycles, yes, overtake like he has said. That is, they are breaking law. They are doing it on their own risk. If you want to overtake on the left, the only conditions are there. Number one, if somebody you are following has shown that has put indicator to turn to the right, you can overtake on the left in another lane if there is space to do so.
Yes.
If somebody's vehicle breaks down in the middle of the road, and it's the only space you have to overtake on the left, and it has shown it by hazard lights or double indicators, you can use that chance if it is safe to do so. If you are guided by a policeman or any warden on the road, you can use that chance to take on the left if he has given you mandate to do that. But otherwise, let us follow the rules, taking on the right. So overtaking on the right. So if you see that it is dangerous to do it, don't do it, because you will be hit. For example, if you are a motorcycle and you are trying to overtake on the left, you are overtaking a big bus or a trailer. Remember, I have trained trailers and I trained trailers. The behind tire, the last tire, is what crashes a boda trying to overtake on the left as it takes a left turn. Think about the behind, the very last tire that will crash a boda and kill him. So always keep rules, abide with rules, and comply to the rules. Overtake only on the right.
Okay. Now, one final question from the viewers. How can we influence drivers to respect zebra crossings, to be sincere? If you're coming from the village, you may never cross a road in Kampala. This is Charles from Soroti City. And I understand what Charles is saying here, because I have seen, I don't know how our minds work as drivers, because as far as I know, the zebra crossing, definitely you leave the pedestrians to cross. You're supposed to, you give them leeway to cross. But I have seen cars here in Kampala, when they see there is a zebra crossing ahead, they accelerate towards the zebra crossing. I do not know how that works. How do we even start to engage people on this very specific issue?
There are many places which are put on roads for pedestrians, cyclists, motorcyclists, and others. But let's think about pedestrians, because they are many, they are few, it might be a person.
Yes.
If you want to cross, there are even rules for crossing the road. You don't just cross like that. You have to wait, look right, look left. Pedestrian crossing design are boxes of about 2 feet long and 1 foot wide. And they are in one color, white. We can use some other elements like the shining boxes. We call them cat eyes. Those can make a difference, or can demarcate and design pedestrian crossings. Whereas zebra crossing is all about takes the whole road.
Yes.
It can be about 3 feet and half a feet wide. So they are in different colors. Some people use black and white, some use red and white, but the official color for zebra crossing is yellow and white.
Yes.
Yes. So if we are doing that, we have policemen, we have road wardens, we have other constructions made on the road for pedestrians to cross. Please wait for those and use those places. Cross one side of the road if there is an island. Stop there. Look right, look left again. Cross the left part, the other part. Pedestrian, you must know that on the traffic light, there is your light as a pedestrian. It has only two colors, green and red. The only action it can do or signal is when you are mandated or allowed to cross, and green is there for you. Then it is time for you to cross and that light to stop. Then it gives signals like that. So that time, stop crossing. But otherwise, please, let us respect pedestrian crossings. Let us respect zebra crossings. Let us use people who are doing that work like a policeman or wardens. And please, pedestrians, take your time. There is no reason why you rush. You can see a group of people escorting somebody. And then, as one is carrying the luggage for somebody, one of them dashes in the road at once and runs and crosses while laughing. And then you ask, why did he do that or she do that? Moreover, these people can cross in the right way and find that person there. And they wait for a taxi for another 30 minutes or 2 hours. Now what was the rush? So always think about what you are doing. Please take all your time, more especially pedestrians. You are very small to be seen by other vehicles. And at night, please, you must do other things protective. And you know that one, more especially, you have to put on like my reflecting jackets, especially at night. Have a torch at night. Please make sure you are seen by other vehicles and you can see them.
Well, Mr. Tamale, please, very briefly, what would be your final remarks? What would be your final word to all the road users here?
Thank you very much, Masiko, please, for having me here. God bless you very much. People, when we are using roads, we must know that roads are killing us like anything. Every day we are losing 10 people in crashes or accidents. Those are vehicle related. But if it comes to motorcycles, every day we are losing 40 people in crashes. Many people are in hospitals. Many people are lame. Many people have seen their graves. But please mind about what you are doing on roads. We cannot avoid driving, and being driven is a necessary evil. That's what I can say to you, viewers. We cannot avoid vehicles. The vehicle knocks you down, you survive, but they put you in another one. You cannot say, pooh, I will never sit on. Yes. But let me tell you, let us be very careful. Let us be friendly on the road. Keep all that responsibility on the road. Concentrate, be attentive, be alert, because that's what you are going to practice if you want to be safe on the road. Consider the mothers, consider the old, consider the disabled. Always must know that speed kills. Drive at a speed where you can control the vehicle before you crash. Be trained, have all documents, make sure that the driving license you get after your training as a driver, and also the testing you get, gives you authority to use our roads. Please make sure that the driving license you get speaks, and it must speak in your pocket. If that thing you are doing is the reason why you are giving it to me, you are driving recklessly, you are overtaking recklessly, is that gives you mandate to drive the way you are doing? So always, please, think about the situations, think about the adverse condition, think about your vehicle. Please be fit and well to drive. So you are going to be a good driver. Let us be safe. If we obey the rules, everybody will be proud in whatever he's doing on the road. So be safe and make sure you were successful in this world.
Thank you so much for stopping by, Mr. Tamale, and for that information and the education. We actually needed it. Tamale Wilson is the director for Country View Driving School. He knows his information. The man has been in business since 1983. So it's just a responsibility for all of us to be very, very careful, very alert, very cautious, have the right attitude, and be in the right mindset as you're using those roads as a driver, as a cyclist, but also as a pedestrian. We will leave this at that. Ruben Mpima Chivirango is coming in with the sports updates, and later on, of course, we still have an awesome program for you to follow through here on UBC TV. Have a wonderful Thursday. Good morning. I am Philomena Masco.
Junko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, it is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM